Dave, as a coach, you can't go out and make the plays. You can only make the calls, and that's execution.
Right.
But D'Antonio said, and you have a boss, which is another thing people don't understand, who says, this is what I want. But D'Antonio said, hey, okay, we got to go score more points. We know it. How exciting is that when he says, all right, listen, we got to take the brakes off a little bit? That's got to be kind of exciting for you to open up your playbook with all that you have in it.
Well, we do have a lot in our playbook, there's no doubt. The formula around here for years in Michigan State's been, trying to establish a run, and that's sort of what we've tried to do against everybody we played, from Alabama all the way through. It'll certainly be another challenge this week against a defense that hasn't given up much rushing. I think Coach D has confidence in our pass game. I have confidence in our pass game. We're still young at the quarterback position and wide receiver positions, which are obviously, and the offensive line, so we're young all around, so there's still going to be some learning pains right there, so we still need to be very selective in our pass game, but I think just being able to throw around a little bit more makes everybody happy. Probably makes you happy, right?
Has Antonio ever said, don't score more points this week?
No, that's not, and I'm not expecting that.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about that too. I mean, it's something that with Brian, you have to establish the run game first to set
I think
up the pass.
when you establish a run game, I think that brings everything into place. It helps your play action pass, your drop back pass. I mean, it helps you maintain possession. It doesn't put you in third and long situations. I mean, it just helps everything we try and do as an offense. When you look at our goals each and every week, if we're able to run the football, all those other, and not turn it over, those other things fall into place. Make it much easier, put it that way.
With the RPOs, I think that Madre's fumble was on an RPO. The quarterback's making a decision there. Sometimes do you have to work on making sure that handoff gets planted?
Yeah, that wasn't the reason there. That was the ball got knocked out. We have not had an issue with those exchanges. That was just Madre just got to do a better job of keeping it locked up.
And how are the decisions coming along? I imagine that's probably a learning process also about when to leave it and when to throw it. I think there was one in Minnesota when he threw it for no gain when the corner was off.
Right.
That's probably just a learning.
Yeah, that's part of the learning phase. Yeah, it is. For especially something that's new to all of us a little bit. Within this offense, we're still sort of tinkering with some of that stuff. So it's learning for all of us.
And in time, those can be a greater and greater weapon as,
I hope
as a
so.
young quarterback gets a handle on it.
Yeah, I hope so, especially with his ability to move around a little bit in the pocket. If things don't, there's a phase of that where the quarterback runs involved as well. So all that stuff I think can help us as we go forward.
Those ups and downs pretty similar to what you guys went through in 13 when Connor took over.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, there are some similarities there, I believe. Now, we got things rolling, in 13, in that Iowa game, I guess it was, fourth, fifth game, something like that, got rolling and sort of kept it going from there. Obviously we've had our ups and downs here. So we need to look for that consistency.
Yeah, and it seemed like he took flight when Jeremy started to take flight.
Exactly, yeah, that's right, because that's really when Jeremy started taking it. Exactly right, yeah.
I think you guys even had that Purdue game that year where I think you only had 14 after you had like a 14-0 win after Purdue after you had won like.
Yeah, and we didn't run the ball well that week, if I remember right? Yeah. So, there's going to be ups and downs regardless, but, we're looking for more ups and downs, more consistency.
You played at Northwestern a lot. It's an odd dynamic there because you have so many Chicago alumni of every fan base, and it's 30–40% Michigan State fans. How different is that than any other environment you guys play in?
I think it is. I think it's, our guys, Coach D'Antonio talks to them about the, amount of green that will be in that stadium, which there is every time we've been there, and that makes it good for our guys, makes them not necessarily feel at home, but a little bit more relaxed. And I think we always look forward to going down there. It's always a good game, and we'll just hope for some good weather this time.
Dave, did Indiana do less slant? The week before they were doing slanting and stunting all over the place to the point where I think their coach thought that they and they did less against you guys, right?
I don't think.
I'm
not sure percentage-wise or number-wise, but they were moving
they're
moving nonstop.
They were getting to their gaps better though.
Yeah, probably a little bit harder. When they're slanting the angle, it seemed like they were going hard. That's probably something we didn't duplicate leading up to that game. How hard they slanted the angle.
Brian went from leading you guys in rushing to the last 2 weeks. His numbers have been pretty low on the ground.
Right.
Have you noticed anything differently in the way teams are defending him, or is it just kind of game plan? And
Oh, I
fits
think
the way it
teams
works?
are obviously aware of his ability. I think there has been some teams are spying in past situations, not letting him, trying not to allow him to lock it down and run with it. You know, it's just the natural thing. It's not, we don't do anything different. I don't think he's done anything different. Those things just sort of fall into place when, you know, in drop back pass game, and, you know, some games we call a little bit more of his quarterback run stuff, but really it has not been anything different on his part.
It seems like he's maybe grown into himself a little bit in terms of rolling and creating with his arm.
Hope so.
And legs together.
Hope so, yeah. I mean, the big thing for Brian right now is the legs is always something good. The thing we need from Brian is to, you know, for his pass game progression to be a little bit more disciplined in there as far as going through his reads and not missing any open receivers. And then when that breaks down, or when he goes through that process, then take it off and go.
What about Northwestern? I mean, that's one of the things we haven't asked you about. Tell me about Northwestern's
Good.
defense.
Okay. Hank does a great job with that defense. He's been there for a long time. You know, you look at them and you see a very simple defense, somewhat simple. Vanilla, I guess, is a better way to call it. You sort of know where they're going to line up, but they do a great job of stopping the run, as I'm sure you guys know. I mean, they've held 4 of the last 5 weeks, I guess, have been on 100 yards. Wisconsin was 109 maybe. So they've stopped the run. They do that with their front, and they do that with their safeties, similar to what our defense does. So very impressive, and they do a good job. They sort of maybe take a little bit of that bend but don't break mentality, and they've been able to play with everybody, and they've gotten things going more and more as the season's going on. Similar to last year, they started off slow. I think that's some injuries maybe earlier this year, but they got guys back now, and they're playing very, very well.
Trailing in the fourth quarter for the first time in the Big Ten slate, did you kind of learn anything about your offense and the way they responded in that different situation?
I think we learned that our football team has a tremendous amount of grit, which I think they've shown through the season. But yeah, that fourth quarter was pretty severe there, where it's the point where it's like, oh, you know, got some problems, and guys hung in there and kept believing, and made some plays when we needed plays made, and that's what makes a difference in good football teams and good football seasons.
Is there encouragement with winning different ways? You know, I mean, the Minnesota game, the defense had to hold late. You know, you guys had to win it. I mean, is there encouragement with that?
Sure. Well, it's a learning. That's part of learning and creating a strong football team, I think. You know, you learn something new every week, or you face a new challenge every week. It seems like. I mean, so that's all part of yeah. I think all that's going to help us as we move forward, without a doubt.
Anything else for Coach Warner?
Okay.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay.